This man may seem harmless, maybe even weak, but he's not what you think, because he's following a ruthless code that makes him untouchable and dangerous. If Machiavelli were alive today, he wouldn't be the loudest in the room. He wouldn't be showing off, chasing fame, or trying to impress anyone. Instead, he'd be the quiet one, watching, learning, planning. While others are busy talking, he's calculating. While others are reacting emotionally, he's already moved his next piece on the board. Machiavelli believed that real power doesn't come from strength or kindness alone. It comes from understanding how people think, and then using that knowledge to control outcomes. He studied leaders, kings, and politicians. What he saw was simple. The people who win in life aren't always the nicest or the strongest. They're the ones who know how to play the game better than anyone else. He believed most people don't want the truth. They want comfort, they want safety, and they trust those who appear good, even if they're not. That's why he taught, it's better to appear virtuous than to be virtuous. If you look like you're kind, honest, and loyal, people will follow you, even if your true goal is power. That's the trick. The world doesn't reward honesty, it rewards perception. People believe what they see, not what is. And if you can control what they see, you control what they believe. You become the one pulling the strings, even if no one knows your name. The modern world is full of people who chase attention. They share everything about their lives, show off their feelings, and think being open means being strong. But the Machiavellian doesn't do that. He hides his moves, he speaks less and watches more. He lets others show their cards first, and when the moment is right, he acts. Most people play checkers. The Machiavellian plays chess, not just in love or politics, but in everyday life. He knows how to act humble when needed, how to seem loyal until it's time to strike, how to offer praise that feels warm but is really strategy. That's not cruelty, that's survival. And in a world where being too trusting can destroy you, it's a skill that separates winners from victims. So next time you meet someone who seems quiet, calm, or distant, think again. He might be following a rule book you can't see. And while you're busy trying to be liked, he's already winning without anyone noticing. That's the power of being underestimated. That's the Machiavellian advantage. If you don't understand these rules, you'll be used, ignored, and replaced by those who do. That's not a warning. It's reality. The world isn't fair, and it never has been. People will smile at you, nod along, and act like they care, all while planning their next move. Not because they're evil, but because they're playing the same game Machiavelli wrote about over 500 years ago, the game of power. Most people go through life thinking that being nice, being loyal, or being honest will protect them, but that's exactly why they lose. They don't realize the rules have changed, or maybe they never knew the rules at all. And if you walk into a game without knowing how it works, you don't stand a chance. You'll be the one doing all the work, giving all the effort, while someone else reaps the rewards. Look around. In business, in relationships, in friendships, the ones in control are rarely the ones who do the most talking. They're the ones who understand human nature. They know what people want, what they fear, and how to use both without ever showing their hand. These are the people who rise, not because they're better, but because they're smarter about how the world really works. Machiavelli said, "You must learn how not to be good." That doesn't mean be cruel or evil. It means knowing when kindness is useful and when it's a trap. It means knowing when to lie and when to stay silent. It means understanding that sometimes doing what's right can leave you broken, or betrayed. And doing what's necessary is what keeps you alive. If you don't learn these rules, someone else will use them against you. They'll make you feel guilty, they'll twist your words, they'll take your loyalty and turn it into a leash. And you won't even see it happening until it's too late. But once you see the game for what it is, everything changes. You stop reacting to emotions. You stop explaining yourself, you stop chasing approval. Instead, you move with purpose. You think 3 steps ahead. You make choices based on strategy, not feelings. That's when you stop being the one who gets played and start becoming the one who plays to win. These aren't just ideas. These are tools. And in the next 2 rules, you'll learn exactly how to use them, not just to survive, but to dominate. Machiavelli believed that the most powerful weapon in life isn't money, strength, or even intelligence. It's image. How people see you is often more important than who you really are. And if you can control that image, even just a little, you can control the way they treat you, trust you, and follow you. Think about it. People make decisions based on what they think they know, not facts, impressions. That's why Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Most people don't dig deep. They don't question what's in front of them. They judge fast. And that's exactly where your power lies. Let's say you walk into a room. If you appear confident, calm, and in control, people will treat you with respect, even if you're unsure on the inside. If you look sharp and speak with purpose, people assume you're important. You haven't even done anything yet, but the way you're seen changes. The way others behave, that's power without effort. That's the first move in domination. But here's where most people fail. They confuse being seen as good with actually being good. They overshare. They try too hard to prove themselves, and they show emotions that make them look weak or unsure. The Machiavellian doesn't do that. He knows every word, every look, every silence shapes perception, and he uses that like a weapon. For example, if you stay quiet during conflict, people will often see you as mysterious, in control, or wise, even if you're just choosing not to speak. If you look someone in the eye and say little, they'll fill the silence with their own ideas about you. And usually they'll imagine someone much more powerful than you actually are. Why? Because people fear what they don't fully understand. This doesn't mean being fake. It means being smart. You choose what parts of yourself to reveal and what to hold back. You don't lie, you simply don't expose everything. You don't show all your plans, you let others guess. And while they're trying to figure you out, you stay one step ahead. Even kindness can be strategic. If you're kind all the time, people take it for granted. But if you're mostly silent and serious and then suddenly show warmth, it hits harder. It feels rare, valuable, and real, even if it's part of your plan. That's emotional control. That's influence. Machiavelli didn't teach people to be fake, he taught them to be effective. And in a world where attention is currency and trust is easy to lose, controlling how others see you is the first key to total dominance. So remember this, you don't have to be the smartest or strongest, but if you know how to shape perception, you control the room without ever raising your voice. To Machiavelli, needing someone was the fastest way to give up your power. He believed that true control begins when you stop depending on others emotionally, financially, or socially. That doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means understanding the difference between using people and needing them. Most people build connections based on feelings. They look for comfort, approval, and love. But Machiavellian strategy flips that. Instead of asking, "How does this person make me feel?" the real question becomes, "What role does this person play in my plans?" This sounds cold to some, but it's not cruelty. It's clarity. The moment you become emotionally dependent on someone, they gain the power to break you. If your mood, confidence, or identity depends on another person, you're no longer in control. They are. That's why the Machiavellian man builds alliances, not attachments. He stays calm, even when others pull away. He doesn't chase. He doesn't beg. He doesn't break. He values people, yes, Michel, but only if they bring something real to the table. Loyalty, support, information, opportunity, not just emotional highs. And here's the secret. People are drawn to this kind of independence. When someone doesn't need you, you start wanting their attention more. When they're not asking for your approval, you give it freely. That's the paradox. The more you seem to need someone, the less valuable you become. But when you're detached and focused on your mission, you become rare, and rare things attract. The Machiavellian doesn't avoid people. He studies them. He figures out what motivates them, what scares them, what they want. Then he uses that knowledge to guide his choices. He surrounds himself with people who serve a purpose, but he's never afraid to walk away when they no longer align with his vision. Think of it like chess. Every piece has a role. Some protect, some attack, some distract, but none of them are irreplaceable. If a piece no longer helps the strategy, you don't hold on to it out of emotion. You sacrifice it to win. In everyday life, this means watching how people act, not just what they say. Who brings real value? Who drains your energy? Who's loyal? Only when things are easy? The Machiavellian doesn't argue or explain. He adjusts, quietly, and when the time comes, he cuts ties without hesitation. This kind of emotional control isn't just rare, it's feared. People don't know how to react to someone who isn't desperate for attention, love, or approval. It makes you unpredictable. It makes you dangerous. So use people wisely. Respect those who earn it. Cut off those who don't. But never forget Machiavelli's warning. The one who needs the least always has the most power. Most people go through life trying to win a game they don't even understand. They chase love, approval, and comfort, never realizing that every step they take is being watched, judged, and often manipulated by those who play the game better. But you're not most people. You've now seen two of Machiavelli's most powerful rules. Control perception and you control how others treat you. Use people without needing them and you take away their power to control you. These aren't just tips, they're weapons. Tools for survival in a world where power hides behind smiles and weakness often wears the mask of kindness. This path isn't about cruelty. It's about awareness. It's not about stepping on others. It's about making sure you're not the one being stepped on. The people who win in this world aren't always the loudest, the nicest, or the most talented. They're the ones who see the truth behind the curtain and act without hesitation. So stop explaining, stop chasing, stop hoping someone will see your worth. Start building it. Quietly, smartly, strategically. You don't need to be feared. You just need to be respected. You don't need to shout. You just need to be so solid, so sure, so composed, that people adjust around you without even realizing it. In the end, power doesn't always look loud or aggressive. Sometimes it looks like calm, like silence, like control. And once you master that, you don't play the game anymore. You become the one who decides how it ends.